What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the Fast Life Podcast. I want to thank you guys for joining us again today. Got a good friend, Rob from Roaring Toyz out of Sarasota, Florida. We talk a little bit about just pretty much the come up of the Roaring Toyz brand and company, from, sport bikes and road racing to, big wheel bagger stuff, and now getting into the performance Harley stuff. So really good podcast. Really enjoyed it. And also really enjoyed things like my Olin suspension that I got from Big Bear Performance. You guys got to check them out, bigbearperformance.com, as well as Big Bear Choppers on Instagram. On Instagram. And you can always give Kevin a call at 909-478-7788. Let him give you the rundown on the options. And he's also coming out with a new kit that I actually want now for the baggers, I believe, which is a 30 millimeter or 30. What was it? I think it's 30 millimeter cartridge kit for the front suspension that it looks bitchin' compared to like the Nix 22 and the other things that are out there. I'm really excited to see what this thing can do. And I'm planning on giving Big Bear a call here pretty soon and seeing what's all about this new stuff he's doing. So check him out, see what they can do for you guys, and, make your bike work better for sure. I also want to thank Paint Huffer Metal Flake, Brian out there doing cool shit with Metal Flake on helping us painters look way better than we actually are. And he can help you too, man. So check him out at painthuffer.com. You can use Fast Life at checkout and save 15% off flakes, tapes, and other products that they sell on their website. So you're going to do some good damage there and saving you some money. So check those guys out. Also, Paint Huffer Metal Flake on Instagram, and you can look at a lot of really talented painters from across the world. Check those guys out. I also want to thank Lindahl Brakes. Check them out on Instagram. They make some really awesome products, lightweight wheels, which we actually talk a little bit about in this podcast. So check those guys out, lindahlbrakes.com, if you want to check out the rotors, brake pads, sprockets, rims, everything they sell. Check them out. Fast Life at checkout for 10% off. You can't beat that deal. It's going to save you a lot of money in the long run. I also want to thank Lexan Moto, LexanMotorcycle.com. Really love the Bluetooth headset, and love the fact that I have basically a setup on each one of my three helmets, so that whether I want to wear the Samuel Jackson one day, I can throw the Bluetooth on that. If I want to wear the Breaking Bad helmet, I can throw one on that. If I want to wear the Kenny Powers, like I love the fact that this one item from Lexan can work on all my helmets, and it could do the same for yours. They sell all the kits to make their product work on multiple helmets, which is awesome. I don't know if everybody does that, but I don't think they do. Anyway, if you missed it, basically Lexan Moto builds premium Bluetooth audio devices for riders. You know what I mean? So you're not going to go wrong with that. Also, if you go to LexanMotorcycle.com, you can use Fast Life at checkout, save 15% off, and get yourself one, get you a 2-pack for you and your old lady, or get your buddy one. Be nice. Anyway, I also want to thank Dream Rides John out there in Stockton, California. They just did the West Coast FXR Jam up there, and I know he had a big part in helping put all that together. So congratulations, you guys, for getting shit rolling up there. Also, you guys all across the country can check out TeamDreamRides.com. If you don't have a shop in your neck of the woods and you want to buy from a real biker that's really into the scene and really into the community, you can help fund what John does up there. So anyway, check it out, teamdreamrides.com. Use Fast Life at checkout for 10% off. And if you're in the NorCal area or in the area to get over there, you can always go by. They got dyno tuning, bike sales, service, and full builds going all the time, and they can do all that shit for you as well. So check them out. Also, guys, if you guys don't mind, check us out. Check out our Patreon. We're really trying to do some big things with this podcast, and it's really going to depend on you guys' support. So please help me out. Go to our website, fastlifegarage.com, and check out the front page. Will say become a patron, and all you got to do is click that, donate, pledge whatever amount you want, and that's it. It does it monthly for you. So if it's $1, that means that over 12 months it'll take $1 out, and you don't have to physically do it every month. So we get a lot of people that hit me up asking how they can support this podcast, and they'll say, like, you got t-shirts, which we want to do t-shirts and hats, but that costs a lot of money to get those things, and it also costs a lot of money to travel and do these podcasts. So helping out in all these areas is where the Patreon really comes in handy. So without us having to do, 15 sponsors to kind of keep paying for things, you guys can help us out with this Patreon. So I appreciate what you guys have done. And as this podcast grows and we have more free time to put into the podcast, we're going to be able to do a lot more with our Patreon subscribers and give them a lot of incentives as well as giveaways and things like that. But it all takes time and effort to build this platform. So anyways, I want to thank you guys for checking this out, and hope you guys enjoy this podcast with Rob from Roaring Toyz.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
Hey,
What's going on, man?
nothing much. Just finishing up another fun day of work.
Living the life down there in Sarasota, huh?
That's it, man. That's it.
Nice. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you doing this with us, man. It's funny how I've felt like I've been connected to Roaring Toyz for so many years, but we've never really spoke other than like text messages and stuff,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
So how's
I know you used to talk to Brad a lot back in the day. But
Yeah, Brad. I used to pretty much deal with him whenever we were ordering those big tire swing arms and stuff like that back in the day. And
Yep.
I actually came by there once. I was down there, and I came by and you were gone. So I
remember. I know you mentioned that, and you came through, and I don't know if I was out of town or just out for the day or at the machine shop or what. But,
yeah. I think he said you were at this machine shop because it was right around the corner at the time. So.
Yep. Yeah, they're my machine shop and the bike shop are about a mile apart, so I gotta run back and forth between the two.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I guess, man, I wanted to back up and like kind of get the rundown of like the beginning of Roaring Toyz and like I know that you have a racing background and how all that tied together. You know what I mean? If you don't mind.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So really, I started Roaring Toyz. I was doing a playground installation job where we were working with a buddy of mine doing playground installation throughout the southeastern United States, and it was sporadic work. We might go on the road and work for a month or two and then be off for a month or two. You don't know.
Yeah.
It could work one week and not the other week. So in between time, I started filling in, working at my house in the garage, fixing up people's bikes. My buddies would come by, get tires. I was going to the races. I wasn't racing at the time, but I was going to the races and buying scrubs, selling scrubs, used race tires. And at the time, this is kind of pre-eBay being big. And the racetrack, I used to go there and buy people's takeoff stuff, body sets, the OEM stuff you take off, and remarketed crash stuff and whatever. Just buy and sell and play with bikes on the side when I was off work. Mm-hmm. So it came to the point where I started doing it full time. So I partnered up with my buddy Johnny Turbo at Exoticycle Motorsports. He's just a couple miles down the street from me. Mm-hmm. And I went to work with him, and he was performance and drag racing. He's strictly quarter mile at a time, big engines, drag race stuff.
You said his name was Johnny Turbo?
Yep, Johnny Turbo.
Okay, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that guy.
Yep, the shop's name is Exoticycle Motorsports. Mm-hmm. The AMA Pro Star drag stuff have written rule books around him for years because he does turbo stuff and a lot of championships. And, he's a big drag race guy. But anyhow, I partnered with him. I was doing the road racing and doing parts and service. And he was doing mostly just, performance and drag racing and engine builds. Mm-hmm. And I ended up splitting off from him and opening Roaring Toyz at about the end of 99, beginning of 2000. And at the time, I was just doing motorcycle service and repair, and we started doing and then road race prep, and I was road racing in the Southeast. And as I drove around the Southeast, I was going from Georgia to Virginia or wherever, I would stop at every motorcycle shop along the way on my trips and kind of meet the service managers and the guys in the back and see what was going on and buy a lot of their scratch and dent stuff and take off parts and different things of that nature. I'd a lot of times come home with a bed full of parts from the races between racers and dealerships and everything else. So I was doing a lot of used parts down here in Florida. I started getting into where we were doing crash repair and doing custom paint jobs. Yeah. And because I was collecting parts along the way, I had a lot of body stuff. So I started piecing together body sets and putting custom paint jobs on them and hanging them onto the walls to the point where I had 10 or 15 different body sets of custom paint on the walls. And started doing chrome exchange with that. And it kind of flourished into where I started finding different things we could apply from Harleys into sport bikes. Like we started putting Harley mirrors onto the sport bike. So I started having the bases machined at a machine shop and applying those to these things. And that started getting a national market, and then, little things like that. Then we started subcontracting, having swing arm extensions made, and lowering links made, and different little custom goodies.
Yeah.
That stuff continued to flourish. And, the business just grew very organically from a repair shop to kind of morphed into customization through parts.
Yeah.
And service and repair and insurance work, to where we started doing chrome exchange, and then the big tire fad started up. So we started putting big tires in the back of sport bikes, 240s, then 300s and 330s. And along the way, we started using other companies' stuff. And at the time, it was really hard to get stuff. It was really hard to get good quality stuff. And being Florida, we rode our bikes all the time. Most of the companies building this stuff were places where they didn't get ridden or people didn't ride them. And here we beat the crap out of them constantly. Yeah. And we always had failures and problems. And everybody said, no, it's just you. You don't know what you're doing. The manufacturers. So we got kind of pushed to the point where we started building our own stuff so we could improve the quality of it. Mm-hmm. Well, I did that. Again, I was subcontracting a lot of the machine work. And one of the machine shops that I had building a lot of our product, it was owned by a guy that didn't want to have the business anymore. And he came to me and said, listen, I want to sell the shop. You're one of our bigger customers. And I ended up buying that shop with all the machines, my programs, fixtures, tooling, so all my parts that I was already making with the machinist turnkey. So I didn't have a machinist background, but I just kind of lucked into where I was a big enough customer and I was a small enough shop. He would sell it to me and finance me. So I bought it and continued to buy more machines and grow that company and grow our product line, and kind of morphed into what we're doing today. So
yeah,
back to really the racing helped spur it on because of the connections I made along the way. As I was racing, I went shop to shop to shop and met a lot of people and created a lot of those relationships, to where when we started selling the parts, I knew a lot of these people, new guys in the different shops, service managers, or even if it was parts guys or whatever, that were at racetracks throughout the country. And so that networking helped,
Yeah. It was real crazy because I got into the sport bike scene probably 2004, and so you had already been doing this for about 5 years now. And I remember, was in 2004 was the big tire thing? Was it something yet? I can't remember that far.
We just started, yeah. I mean, we built several at that point. We were actually starting to inventory it pretty heavy because it was a problem, and I think we were doing a lot of OC component wheels and track dynamic swing arms, and they were pretty much all that existed, but you couldn't get too many of them.
Yeah, and that was kind of a deal back in the day, dealing with not to say anything bad about track, but the demand. They had the race side of it where they were building these extended swing arms for all these track bikes, and then you got this custom market that explodes, and everybody wants 240 swing arms and whatnot from there, and it felt like they just could never keep up with the demand. You'd be waiting 6 months for a swing arm at times. Yeah,
it was tough, and the sport bike market was so incredible at that time. I mean, from 03 to 08, there was so many new bikes on the street, so many people riding them, and they were a little more affordable, and it was really a beautiful time for sport bikes. It was booming.
Obviously there's a big crash that happened in 08 with the housing market. I know that hit Florida pretty hard, right?
Yeah, it hit everywhere really hard, yeah.
We didn't really,
killed it.
I'm sure people felt it in Dallas, but I mean, we never really saw slow work, I guess you'd say. But the other weird thing is right around 2008 is when a lot of the manufacturers from what I remember in the sport bike scene, they started where it was hard to make parts that cross fit things. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it kind of killed the aftermarket, in my opinion, to where before on a Suzuki you could make one swing arm and it damn near would fit every model, and then all of a sudden new suspension links came out and new stuff, and then 2 years later a new setup, and it was hard to keep up with tooling. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, it's complicated. That compiled with the fact that the sales numbers shrunk drastically. I mean,
Yeah.
From 2000 to '08, they were selling huge numbers of motorcycles. Once you get to '09, the sales numbers went to 10% of what they were previous. So not only did the bikes change, but the sales numbers didn't really justify the tooling cost of making the new product, because you weren't going to sell enough of it to even cover the development costs a lot of times. Right?
Yeah. I remember when you guys came out, I think it was right around the CBR 10,000 or 1000 RR came out. You guys started making that tubular Ducati style 240 kit swing arm for it. You remember that?
Yep.
And I remember I was dating this chick, and man, I was trying to hustle her into getting me that swing arm for the '08 Hayabusa I just got when those just came out. It didn't work out, but I mean, that was the plan. I was trying to get her to, she had some money, so I was trying to get her to, show how much she loved me or whatever. But man, that stuff was crazy back then. I remember seeing y'all built that 10,000 RR or that 1,000 RR. And I remember seeing you hit it on the track on like Two Wheel Tuner magazine or something like that back in the day, like taking that thing around the corners as best as it could. Obviously, is that the same bike?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. It was turbocharged, and we did the suspension and geometry and took it to the racetrack. And that's one of the big things that I've always tried to explain and kind of teach my customers. And there are not as many anymore, but at one point there was 1 million shops out there doing custom bikes.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of guys that can buy products from wherever, the internet, here or there, and bolt it to a motorcycle. But there's a difference between being able to actually set the stuff up and make it function and work rather than just throw some parts at a bike. And to me, it's always been important to have a motorcycle that functions properly, something you can go out and actually enjoy. And, the sad part about the custom industry is, and whatever side of it is everybody goes on the internet, sees a really cool looking bike, and they can come in, they want you to build that cool looking bike because they saw it on the internet or at a show.
Yeah.
90% of those things are rubbish. I mean, they look really cool, but they ride terrible, they handle terrible, they probably have no brakes, they probably don't have good geometry or suspension, they wobble, they don't function. And, it's trying to find a balance of something to make it look cool, at least presentable, and pretty cool and unique, but still function well. It's so important to me because what good is it? I think that's what happened to a lot of the chopper phases. Most of those bikes were so bad, people never got to ride them, they didn't enjoy them, and they lost value.
Exactly.
If you have a bike that you can ride every day and enjoy it, you're going to keep it. And you're not going to be scared to do it again. I try to tell my customers, if you do one with me, you're going to come back because you'll enjoy the bike. One of these things where you spend a whole bunch of money, you end up with a piece of rubbish in the garage, you don't enjoy riding because it's miserable. You'll never do it again.
Yeah, and that's basically
that cycle burns people out of our industry.
Exactly, and that cycle took place real recently with the big wheel stuff when things got to the point where, like you were just saying, there were so many parts and so many things on eBay and so many shops doing it out of their garage because all this stuff looks like it's you can do a short neck setup and you only have to put it in a jig and then all the shit's breaking. And I mean, there's so many people are dumping, I wouldn't say stupid amounts of money, but like they were dumping enough money to where when things were breaking and the money it cost to fix it, it just put a bad taste in their mouth with custom bikes and the custom industry and the shops and all the shit involved. You know what I mean? Which is exactly what happened with a lot of the chopper guys too back in the day.
Yep, absolutely. Well, you're seeing that cycle happen now with the baggers, and it's a shame. I mean, there's going to be a really overstock of cut up, nasty bikes loaded with cheap parts and horrible wiring and bad stereo systems and crap just gobbed all over them. And the market, I'm surprised there's not more yet, but I think it's going to be flooded with a lot of destroyed motorcycles coming soon with that cycle, right?
And I guess the weird thing that I've noticed too is, I mean, there's still a couple shops out there that are building some very high quality big wheel stuff. You know what I mean? And that I've personally seen and met myself that I think are just some of the industry leaders. But the majority of people, like the ones that didn't build a name or reputation, they seem to jump straight into the into the audio side of things. You know what I mean? Because that was kind of the next wave of financial, security in the big wheel bagger market. You know what I mean? So
Right.
And I bet that's. I mean, aren't y'all like dump country down there with the big ass wheels on the cars and shit? Or is that the other side of Florida?
Yep. No, yeah, they're all over here. Yeah, it's huge here.
Well, so there was always. I mean, like I think I ran into you guys. I didn't see you again, but I ran into some of the guys at Myrtle Beach probably 2012, I think. And you had like one of y'all's road glides y'all just finished. It was out there. And going to that Black Bike Week was where it was, and just seeing like that side of the country and that culture, because I had always just been going west and saw like how the West Coast was, and it was just like most people were building bikes out there just to basically stunt on the parking lot kind of thing, like look good in parking lots and nice sound system. Let's ride from this Hooters to that Hooters, and the bikes resembled that a lot out there. So.
Oh yeah, it's incredible the difference in the trends throughout the East Coast and then the West Coast. I've always said that. And I grew up in Southern California. I was born and raised. I was born in San Diego and grew up in Southern California, Orange County, Los Angeles area, and then I defected to Florida. Right. Mm-hmm. So I grew up there, which is probably why I come from my racing background. We had beautiful canyon roads and beautiful riding in California. I came to Florida, it was flat and straight. I got to find a corner somewhere so I want racing, right? But yeah, the difference in the motorcycle cultures from east to west is so interesting. And I said from New York to Florida, you've got that type of custom motorcycle that doesn't exist on the West Coast. The West Coast is how much carbon fiber and titanium can you throw at something, and over here it was how much chrome and bling you could do at something. And yeah, you got the Black Bike Week and saw that culture that was going on. We, for a decade, our business, it was funny. Our phones would start ringing in January of people wanting to get their bike right for Myrtle, and there was such an amazing number of people that I think owned motorcycles almost just for that event.
Yeah.
They would work the first half of the year to get their bike ready for that event, go do that event, put it away, and they wouldn't pick up the phone or worry about that bike again until the next February, March, April, May to try and get it ready for that event again. So
it was an interesting event. Yeah,
own those bikes for that event. Unfortunately, that event got crushed by the politics and whatnot, but it was incredible at its peak.
Yeah,
for a lot of years there, how large that event was and how much our business, worked around just that sole event only. I mean, it's incredible how many phone calls you would get of people just wanting to get their bike right for Myrtle. It was incredible. And it was
it was crazy because it was all, like when I went in 2012, it was like the transition where a lot of the scene was going, like a lot of the guys that were building the fat tire sport bikes were now starting to want to do the big wheel bagger thing, right? So the bagger thing was still pretty new, pretty young in that scene. And, because we brought fat tire bikes out there, like fat tire, like a 360 kit, Gixxer and shit like that out there. And then it, like I said, seeing your big wheels, you had some 26s out there and stuff like that. And then it was all about stereos. And man, it was just, it like you said, it was really a height and a peak, man. We made so much money doing LED kits and shit like that. And just all the stuff that I swear I'd never do again,
Yeah, it's the same with me. Yeah, I'm pretty against electronics on motorcycles, but I tell almost everybody that's customers, I don't want to do LEDs or stereos or any kind of TVs and all these kind of nonsense electronics. To me, they don't have that place on a motorcycle. It's for the circus rides, right?
Exactly.
So, obviously we have to do something, but I really prefer to do as little as possible. I want to make a bike that rides good, not the rest of that stuff,
Mm-hmm. So what's like, as far as like you're part of Florida over there, like how is that bike scene? Is it still like more predominantly sport bikes down there, or is it like more of a blend of Harleys as well? I mean, you got Daytona not too far away, but
Florida's retirees, right? So the majority of Florida is going to be older guys on baggers, right?
Yeah.
And that's your biggest group in Florida. But, fortunately, you got weather where you can ride all year round. You've got some really large bike nights. I mean, an hour from me, there's a bike night that takes a couple thousand people every Wednesday. So
Damn.
you got quite a bit of people riding, and it's a pretty diverse spread. I mean, you've got a little bit of all the genres, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get some custom sport bike guys, some custom big wheel type Harley guys, and you've got your regular touring bike riders and bar hoppers, and get some sport bike groups that like to get out and race hell. And usually a pretty even spread. I don't think there's any kind of big clique of anything going on. It's pretty average. It's just good numbers of riders because of our climate, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was actually I was gonna give Florida another chance. I went to Daytona the year before last year, and I wouldn't say I had a bad time because I had great friends there that I had a good time with, but when you're in your mind, when you're going somewhere in March, like from here in Texas, and you're going to Florida to the beach, like you're thinking, man, it's going to be nice and warm and, bathing suits, and you get there and it's colder there than it was, here in Dallas. So I just,
March can be hit or miss, and it can be pretty cold and miserable sometimes.
Dude, there was a couple of times, man, where we were like leaving like a restaurant or a bar at like 1 a.m. and it's literally in the 30s. You know what I mean? I'm like, this sucks.
Yep. Fortunately, I live on the West Coast in Florida. We're 20 degrees warmer over here than they are with that cold stuff that blows in off the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Completely different.
I do
the
feel
East
like
Coast in those months was rough.
I feel like, because I've had the opportunity to see like like Daytona and like Miami and all those beaches there, but I really feel like the ones over there in Sarasota are just so much more nicer, if that makes sense. I don't know if it's because they're not as packed as like the other side or the other whatever, but when I was out there, when I stopped by the shop, we went to the beach out there, and it was fucking nice, warm water.
The West Coast of Florida is beautiful. You get the Gulf, and it's a slower, more easy pace. Most of the West Coast of Florida is people coming down from the I-75 corridor. So you've got, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Midwestern kind of easygoing people. The I-95, you get the East Coast. It's Atlantic Ocean. It's colder. It's more blowing in. It's not quite as pretty. And then you've got everybody coming from New York or coming up from all the different islands.
Yeah.
That I-95 corridor is more of a war zone. The West Coast of Florida is pretty easy going and a little slower and easier. It's more of your tropical paradise, right?
Yeah, for sure. So, back in the day, like you had posted recently on your Instagram, but I remember when you guys built that bike for Ludacris. Like, how was that? Like, just doing a bike for someone, famous and shit.
Yeah, that was definitely a cool deal. It was put together with Kawasaki corporate, so it was cool. I mean, doing the celebrity thing gets you a lot of exposure, and it's cool working with people like that. More so it was better for us back in those days when the bike sales were larger and working with the OEM manufacturers. It was really cool working with the guys at product development and Kawasaki. We worked with BMW, Triumph, a little bit with Yamaha, Suzuki, and being able to be involved with the OE manufacturers. The fact that the Japanese had open arms to what we were doing with aftermarket and understood that our aftermarket product supported their unit sales, so they worked with us and were very helpful to us and with us versus what I look at with the American V-twins and some of the brands like Harley Davidson and Polaris, where they kind of work against the aftermarket, right? They don't want it. They want to own everything. They don't want to help, or they don't want to kind of support what we're doing. So it was really cool working with the OEMs, and the numbers were big on the Japanese side and some metric stuff. And the Euro stuff to have a little bit of leeway to work with them and get some help in terms of support, product support, marketing, and different programs like that, where we worked with Ludacris, and it was beneficial for everybody. So
yeah, it was weird.
Their corporate media, along with their relationships, being a smaller company, it was a huge benefit for us, obviously.
Yeah, so I want to say they ended up, like Harley ended up giving him a bike recently when they unveiled the new Softails, I think the year before last, and it's like they didn't, like they gave those bikes to all these celebrities and stuff like that, and then nothing ever came of it. Like it was like everybody was confused with that whole marketing tactic. Like, where was it going? Like, was it just the fact that they were famous and they got a free bike? I mean, it was almost like it pissed more people off than anything,
Right.
But yeah,
not a lot of significance here.
Yeah, it does. It does 100% suck, man, because I do remember that era where it felt like you had your two-wheel tuner and super street bike, and there was just so much coverage going on, and it felt like these, like the manufacturers were putting, having custom bikes done themselves or whatever the case may be. It did feel a little bit more supported. Like the motorcycle as a whole just seemed like just way more, like connected to the dealer, from the dealer to the customer to the manufacturer, just everything,
Yep. But, again, that was supported by product sales. The manufacturers had big unit sales and they had volume, and they were making money so they could do a little more marketing and work better.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with the media. I mean, it's interesting how the media's changed. Everything's went to social media platforms. And back in the day, we were in magazines, and it was your goal to try and get the magazine. All the magazines have evaporated. All the media has evaporated.
Yeah.
You have to generate your own media these days, right? So
Yep.
It's interesting to see how those platforms have shifted and how everything's changed. Everything has become digital now.
Yeah, I mean, now it's like almost, just somebody that has connections with people that aren't really a shop can have an Instagram page that has 100,000 followers and just get a lot of, put a lot of content out there, basically, in like their own small little magazine. I always said like repost pages, like really ones that do their job well. Like they're like the new magazines. They're the ones that are finding these bikes that are on the social media networks and reposting them and kind of spreading the message of what's more popular, what's happening, and stuff like that. And it's really hard. I was talking with a helmet company. I was down there at their corporate, and we were talking about kind of the same thing about that era. And apparently there's like a group that people, I'm gonna murder this, but there's like a group of people in like the LA area, Hollywood area, that a lot of major companies kind of pay a due to, that their job is to help get bikes into movies or get, those kind of things going on a media side on that end,
At the MIC, the Motorcycle
Is that what it is?
Council.
Okay.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm a dumbass. I didn't fucking remember it, but it was interesting listening to them talk about it and how they felt. Like a lot of people, and I don't really want to speak on their behalf, but some people that I've talked to have said they felt like they haven't really been pushing that hard. I mean, you had a show like Sons of Anarchy come out, and it seemed like it really breathed, like put some new life into some of the motorcycling stuff. It definitely put the life into the club scene, motorcycle club world, which had to help with bike sales or just people getting on bikes in general. But, we just need more.
Absolutely. Well, media is always what drives all of your trends, no matter what it is, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, people are very monkey see, monkey do, right? They're most people and followers. It's hard to find people that are unique. You see somebody do something, and that's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you see it with your paint jobs and your builds and the stuff that you do. You put something out there, and then people call up and they want to, follow that blueprint, right?
Yeah.
So the media drives your sales. When the sport bike world, we saw like the Biker Boys movie came out. That drove a whole bunch, right? When we had 3 or 4 magazines doing custom sport bikes, that market was huge. The magazines and the media dries up, so does the business.
Exactly.
A whole bunch of baggers magazines came up, big wheel, magazines and media supporting the big wheel baggers. That flourished, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Sons of Anarchy goes on TV. That club scene flourished. So yeah, it definitely drives the trends for sure.
So I guess the biggest question now is, with all this new media that we are all in control of, how do we kind of dictate or push the trends? It's a really strange thing when it's left alone. I don't know. Like, does it organically do it itself? As far as like continue to thrive or go anywhere or get bigger or whatever.
Right. Well, it's tough in our market. Well, I mean, we're both motorcycle guys that live, eat, breathe, and sleep motorcycles, right? But the motorcycle market in our country is evaporating. Motorcycle sales are way down. Younger riders aren't riding. The older riders are dying off. And motorcycling in general is dying. And, looking forward, it's really scary. I mean, I look and say probably in our lifetime, we're going to have autonomous vehicles, and I wouldn't be surprised if they say you can't ride a motorcycle on the street because the autonomous vehicles are driving and they don't want you in their way.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't even think about that aspect, and I've been looking deep into all the autonomous vehicle shit just from listening to other podcasts. But, I had a theory that is probably a dumb one, but, I feel like with, the lane splitting laws and letting more cities do that, it might inspire more people to get on bikes because of the ability to get through traffic, and especially if you live in an urban area where you need to commute to work and stuff like that. I feel like that would help out some areas of the country, but a lot of people
think, European countries and some of the other countries in the world are that way in culture, and we're just a little different here.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's the size of the land and the spread, but it definitely would help.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I mean, I've always said that here in Texas, it's like we have every major city in Texas is under construction, like highway wise, right? So traffic is just horrible everywhere. I mean, not compared to probably like LA and shit, but it's bad here, and it's also like a central part of the country. So like logistically for a lot of companies, it makes it great for shipping and all that type of stuff when you're making products. And, I think, I don't know if Florida's like this, but Texas, we don't have a state tax. So it's kind of cheap for companies to come here and operate and shit like that. And I've always felt like if lane splitting was legal here, it would actually kind of maybe inspire more companies to come to the center of the country and use it here for like distributing and things like that, but I don't know, man, it's a weird one. Like I wish I want to talk to some more people that have more insight on like that group of people that I've already forgot the name you said a while ago. MIC. Okay. Yep. Yeah. So other than like building the shop and stuff like that, like how much of you was involved in like racing? Was it all more fun, or did you like take it further and like try to get on the track and compete, or
what do you mean?
Just getting on like just I guess road racing, or did you?
Yeah, I mean I've been road racing for over probably almost 25 years now, right?
Yeah.
So I when I started Roaring Toyz, at that time, I was racing at a club level. I was young, just kind of learning and racing. And I did it for several years, and all around. Won a bunch of regional and some national championships. I was doing pretty well, but at the time I realized, I'm 6'2", now probably 215 pounds, but at the time I was still 6 foot and kind of oversized, and realized, like, there's really no future for me. I'm not going to be a MotoGP rider. I'm not going to be a professional rider at the top level at my size, which is just impossible. My age and size, they're taking, teenage kids that weigh 145 pounds and moving them forward. They're not going to take a older giant. So I had to step back from racing and realize, hey, put some time and energy into the business, focus on that. So I did that for a lot of years, and now I've just re-energized myself back into the road racing. The last couple of years I've been at it pretty hard, running around the country. This year I run the full Moto America season, and we just put a young guy on a bike last round at Laguna Seca and won the race there, which is really rewarding.
Nice.
It just kind of shows we've been semi-successful with custom motorcycles throughout the years doing that, but it's nice to show that we're capable on a technical level to put together a bike that can stand on top of a Moto America podium in front of a world stage as well. So
that's nice.
It shows well for our product lines that we don't just build stuff that looks cool, but we can actually make bikes that can perform at a top level in a national race as well.
So what are your thoughts on, like, there's a lot of guys out there on the West Coast like Shred Moto and stuff like that are starting to really push the idea of getting on the track with like these new Softails and Dynas and stuff like that. Like, do you think it's kind of dumb, or do you think it's kind of like cool to see those kind of bikes, like,
You know what's funny? I think it's dumb, but I like it. I don't know. It's one of these things. It's kind of amusing to me. I mean, I've road raced professionally for all these years, and I understand the performance of the Japanese bikes and motorcycles that are actually designed for the track.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as a guy who loves to work on stuff and just make things work, I've got a dyno that I intend to take to the track, and I've taken my fat tire bikes to the track. I love the idea of improving something. It's great because with one of these dynos, you got a platform that is pretty much garbage compared to what a out of the box Japanese bike is, right?
Yeah.
And they got great torque and they're fun to ride, and I love the feel of a Harley. But I mean, from an engineering standpoint, when you compare it to one of these Japanese bikes, it's performance per pound, performance per dollar, it's nothing. So it's the challenge of it is fun for me. Looking at it, to take a bike that's heavy and awkward with poor suspension and brakes, it doesn't handle well, out to a track and improve a bunch of things and watch how much improvement you can make. And it's cool because you can make tremendous improvements. So when you get the Japanese stuff, they've over-engineered these things, right? They already work incredible. You can have small gains, but with the Harley, I mean, we can make tremendous gains in ride quality and performance on those things because there's so much on the table. So that's fun, to be able to take something and throw some suspension and some brakes on it and make it actually really work.
Yeah, and
I can see where that's really entertaining.
That's pretty much how I feel. I mean, you just said it very well. And it's basically like you have the ability to take this bike that's a turd for the most part, and then you can add these parts to it and see the performance gains that you get. I mean, it may never quite it's never going to compete like, a bike that's designed like from Yamaha or something like that. But there's something cool about seeing that shit. It's the same thing like I would guess like looking at old NASCAR shit, like these old fucking, cars. They've engineered a lot of nice shit in them, but it's cool seeing something earn it instead of it's coming out of the box, you know what I mean, ready to run. So, and I think it gives the people like a chance to like learn it on a funner, because like I said, we're looking at doing some track days too here in Dallas and stuff, and it's like on baggers and shit. But it's like the cool thing is like we can put a 12-pack in our bags, go to the track, camp out there before, wake up early, ride the track with the same bike we rode over there, on, and then come home on the bike. You know what I mean? It's like, to me that sounds fun. It sounds like a good weekend with the the homies and stuff. So. Yep, without a doubt.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of these builds, and on one hand, it leaves me torn. I'm looking at some of them, like the stuff MJK is doing up there.
Mm-hmm.
There's stuff that I dreamt about and was looking at 8 to 10 years ago. I was looking at these things going, man, I'd really like to do that. And he had enough balls to go and do it and create a little niche out of it, right? I mean, I looked at it and thought, I like the engineering feat and the thought process and the process of making something that's kind of heavy and junky really function well. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
But to create a revenue stream out of it, like he has a little bit, at least even if it's just enough to support itself, it's really cool. That's awesome to see. And his work and his stuff is incredible. Probably 10 years-ish, maybe not quite 10 years ago. 8 years ago, I started building the aluminum swing arms for the dynos, and I was looking at doing, inverted front end kits and brakes, kind of cush driving and chain driving and sport biking those bikes, and I kind of lost wind on it and never really delved into it. I saw that, I was on the front end of it, and I kind of fizzled out of it. I didn't push into it as much as I'd like because I was busy with other things. And I see what Krause and these guys are doing out there and some of that stuff, and it's amazing, man. It's really, really cool to see. It makes me wish I would have went a little harder and now have less incentive because I don't want to just go do the same thing they've already done, but it was in my mind before it was done well, Well, a little frustrating. So
I think that another way to look at that is that, like, the performance, just motorcycle scene in general, from a lot of angles that I get to see it at, and a lot of the people that I talk to, like MJK and Krause and Big Bear and stuff like that, like these dudes are, they're kind of like so backed up with building these products and doing this work that like there's room for more. There's room for more people coming in and making like a competitive market for like the custom industry, which it's weird because it's a performance motorcycle, but it still is like a style of bike now that has a look that's almost like, it's just not like, it's like you want cool parts that work, but it's also like an aesthetic as well. You know what I mean?
Sure, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of room, man. Like, I will say that when MJK came out with that swing arm with like the bottom brace, I was like, damn, like, who would have thought that Yeah. Who would have thought that would have like looked so well on it? And now that it's done, it's almost like I want to see what other areas of these bikes that people can look at and really give it that MotoGP kind of touch. And I don't know, man. Like it's weird because I feel like there's a lot of potential for this industry or this scene or genre of motorcycling to kind of go somewhere, because it's like when we touched on when we first started talking, these people can put money into their bikes in these areas that this performance scene is, and these aren't going to be really shitty products. You know what I mean? They're all designed to be badass stuff, like suspension setups. Like you're making things better, not necessarily making it worse. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely.
So I think that maybe people's, they'll have a better experience while doing this stuff, and it'll kind of make people more happy to do these things more, instead of having 20 grand in a bike and you got Olin's front end and Olin's suspension and a badass swing arm from MJK and badass wheels. Like this bike's going to ride better. You know what I mean? And so that 20 grand, they're going to be like, fuck, man, like this was a good investment, as opposed to 20 grand and your air ride and your stereo system. And the air ride's always blowing shocks and the stereo system's always fucking at rectifiers. So it's like,
Yep.
there is room for this thing to grow. And I think that more guys, even like you, man, having such a passion for that type of racing, I'm super interested to see what you guys would produce on that end. So, I mean, if you find the energy and the time, and I totally think you should like pursue it some,
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, the problem is trying to figure out how to do enough of it to make a living at the same time, right?
True,
I got lots of ideas, and I look at these things, and man, I could really go down a wormhole making something really cool, but at the end of the day, you also have to keep the doors open, and then payroll has to be made on Friday, right? So it's trying to pick the ones that are, balancing what you really like and what your passion is versus keeping the doors open at the end of the week as well. But yeah, it's cool to see that market getting driven that way and that people are paying attention to that. And it's funny because I started as a road racer, and I've been racing all my life, practically now 25 years. But most of the business has been bling bling stuff. People are really happy to pay for a look at me, and people don't really get too excited when you tell them, hey, but push on this front end and it actually works. And when you hit the brakes, the bike's going to stop. It's a lot rarer for people to be happy to leave the shop spending thousands on that versus a bunch of new chrome or like in your world, the paint. Yeah. And by the way, your paint has come so far over the years.
Thank you.
What you're doing over there is just badass. I admire every piece of work that comes out of your place. It's just jaw dropping. How your talent has grown leaps and bounds over the years. You were doing great stuff, some good stuff 15 or 20 years ago, but now your stuff is just top of the pile. As good as it gets. Really, really incredible.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, man, it's for me, I look back at some of the original bikes that you guys built, some of the original guys like Tricked Out Custom Cycles built. They were one of my favorites whenever I first got into this whole motorcycle scene. And hell, Nick Anglada down there, isn't he down there by you? Or I probably ruined his name.
Yeah, Orlando. Yeah, he's over here. No, you're good.
Those bikes that used to be in those like Two Wheel Tuner magazines and Super Street Bike, man, those things were like, they were, I remember literally getting those magazines and just sitting there flipping through, being like, man, one day I'm going to get to paint a Hayabusa, and I'm going to be on these magazines. And you know what I mean? It was cool. Like you guys were already doing it, and you guys were the guys that inspired me to keep, pushing towards something, you know what I mean? And it's like it's almost been 20 years. I think it's more like 15. And I don't know where I'm going. You know what I mean? I'm just painting.
Same as me. Listen, I landed here by accident. I followed the passion and did what I liked, and here we are. I think you're doing the same thing.
Exactly.
Enjoying motorcycles and living the dream, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to beat.
It's kind of weird because like my passion for riding motorcycles has kind of overpowered my like anything else I do in my life, right? So it's like I almost want to do things like I still love to paint, and I want that satisfaction of having an idea and seeing it come to life. But the helmet stuff has kind of allowed me to kind of have more freedom to invest more time into one project and do a really badass paint job or something I'm really proud of, and then have enough money and time to go ride a bike. You know what I mean? As opposed to the other side of it is, you know, if I took in all the customers that are blowing me up all the time, then I would literally be a slave to it, you know, which might be better financially, but you know, just, you know, you won't be able to enjoy any of this shit, you know, or enjoy the bikes.
There goes quality of life, right? Yeah, you can work yourself to death.
And I feel like it would hurt. It would reflect on the work that I do, and it has before. I mean, I've had times where I wasn't, you know, super proud of the things I was doing, and it's not because the quality wasn't there or anything. It's just the designs. I felt like I could have done more. There's more inside me that can get out, you know, things like that. But it is just a stepping stone, figuring out where, you know, because I mean, I'm sure when you first started Roaring Toyz, like you said, you were just kind of flipping those parts and changing oil and shit and tires, and then it turned into custom, and then now it's blossomed to all these other different areas that you've had your hands in over the last 20 years, almost, you know, 20 something years now. So
yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's cool. One of the things I like is I think we're semi-diverse. I mean, we play with custom sport bikes, but we do Harleys, we do road race bikes, we do metric cruisers, we'll do, you know, razors. I mean, I tell people anything on two wheels, I love it. I'm not racist. I don't care if it's a scooter or a bicycle, or you know, really if it's got an engine. I have fun with it. I don't care. I mean, I love everything. A lot of people get stuck in, I only like this or I only like that. I'm a motorcycle guy. I don't care what it is. I appreciate it. If I can turn the throttle and go to hell on it, I can have a ball, man. I don't care if it's a 50cc moped, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So, I'm definitely the other end of that. I've turned into a Nazi. So,
oh yeah.
It's not that I still have a huge appreciation for bikes, and especially now with like, you know, I've never really been a huge fan of Indian just from the stylistic points, but this new FTR they put out, man, it's really inspired. Like
it's what we're trying to build.
Yeah, it is,
right?
and
I mean, these guys. I look at that bike, I'm like, this rocks. This is over here. I got a new M8 Softail that I'm doing a single-sided swing arm and putting some inverted forks on, and I look at the FTR and I lose steam. It's like, why even bother? You can go to the dealership and buy the bike. It's done. It's like right there. It's pretty damn cool already, you know?
Exactly. Well, what I'm hoping, what I really hope happens is I think that bike's amazing, you know, and I can't, even though it's pretty much out the box ready to rip, I'm still excited to see what the aftermarket's going to do with that thing and what kind of options it's going to be from the aftermarket. And I really hope to see, you know, I hope it puts some kind of fire under Harley's ass to kind of, you know, produce a bike that has the same quality of parts at the same price points, you know. It's kind of weird, right? Like, you know, that new Corvette, they just released all the images and the price point on that thing. You hear about all that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
That's fucking insane. Like, the last Corvettes were like $80,000, and now this one's coming in $20,000 less, and it looks more exotic. Like, it's weird to me. Like, how are these things more affordable now, and everything else in the world is more expensive? But I don't know shit about that.
And it's almost as good of a sports car as you can get.
Yeah.
You know, price point, not, you know, it competes with a couple $100,000 sports cars, right?
For sure, yeah.
For $60,000, it's amazing. I mean, even the last version of the Corvette when it came out, I thought it was an incredible value.
Oh yeah,
you know?
yeah. I mean, it was a badass.
Yeah, they're doing a great job with those cars. But yeah, I see what you're saying with the FTR, and you know, really, really cool if Harley can go get that direction and take some influence and kind of go there, because our generation and the guys coming up the under us, you know, the Harleys that everybody's been riding and been doing, and I love them. But you know, they're kind of, that customer's dying off, and guys that grew up with, you know, metric dirt bikes and have ridden metric bikes are having a hard time walking to a dealership to pay $25,000 for a bike that doesn't stop, turn, or handle at least decent, right?
Yeah.
So you know, bikes like that are coming on strong. It'll be interesting to see if they do move that direction or not.
Yeah, it's in that aspect, it's definitely exciting to see where it could go and stuff like that. So what do you think is like for Roaring Toyz, and like, do you have plans to go another direction, or like passion things that you're starting to take fruition with your shop, or like what's coming up for them?
Yeah, honestly, right now I don't have anything that I'm really strong into, right? Like we discussed, I do a little bit of sport bike, I do a little bit of Harley, I do a little bit of a whole lot of stuff, and I don't have any one thing that I'm really strong delved into. I'm not planting too much in anything. It's and I don't know. You know, the last couple of years, like I said, I think I told you, I've been road racing a lot more. I've been really, you know, on the track and chasing that around, chasing the national series, and you know, contemplating producing a little more products towards the road race market. But I want to, obviously that's where my heart is, and I want to take that and apply it to other things. So like I said, on this M8 bike, some of these Harleys, maybe an FTR and things like that, take some of the experience and knowledge I've learned with performance, suspension, and brakes, and apply that to these other models to help bring new products to market. So, a little bit of all of that.
Yeah. The single-sided swing arm you were talking about, you've been developing for the M8 Softails. Like,
yep.
Would you say that's more aesthetics, or does it kind of have a performance value to it, or how would?
Well, no, the arm itself is just aesthetics. I mean, the single side itself is just aesthetics. But we did put an Olin's shock, change the geometry of the suspension to get it jacked up, so we can pull the neck angle back on the bike, kind of get the thing steering a little quicker. So, and it's got lightweight wheels, and then we obviously go to chain drive, which you can do anyhow, but, get the gearing set so that it accelerates a little better. But, the single side isn't necessarily a performance game. It's probably close to equal in weight, if not heavier than the stock arm. It just looks cool. It's aesthetic. But, the wheels and brakes and chain that we put on that are all going to improve performance. The wheels are a hell of a lot lighter. The drive assembly, turning doesn't weigh too much. The brakes are good. And then, more so the geometry I get out of the shock and the suspension to make the bike steer and handle. So I think, like that bike, I figure we're targeting probably taking 150 pounds off of it and adding whatever reasonable bolt-on horsepower we can to it. But mostly having good brakes and geometry. It bike should be pretty fun to ride, and it'll look cool.
Yeah, that's a good
it'll
aesthetic.
Have
so
performance aesthetics. Yeah.
The I think one of the things that the scene's really lacking right now is the wheel side of things. Like there's a lot. Obviously, there's tons and tons of wheel manufacturers, but with more people wanting to go with like stuff that's lightweight and more, of a sporty kind of like look to it, and not so much tribal and shit like that. There's not a lot of options, man. There's really not. And I mean, I just literally, one of the guys that's building a really sick ass dyno, like I was literally texting everybody I knew in the wheel market, seeing if they have any plans to come up with something that has like, let me back up. So a lot of wheel companies will come out with wheels and they'll say, this is the performance line. And then you like look at their hubs, like some RC component hubs, and it's like
some bricks of aluminum.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, there's areas like if this is a performance wheel, there's so many areas that you could kind of dig out and shave some weight, step the lip on the rim. I mean, it's more machine time, which means it's going to be a more expensive wheel. But, like right now, I say there's really only a couple options. You got Lindahl Wheels who makes lightweight everything for the wheel, components and everything. And then you have like BST carbon fiber wheels, which, I'm hearing all kinds of different stuff, whether people think they're a good idea on Harleys or not. And there's really nothing else. I mean, PM has like their flat tracker wheel, but I don't really know if it's like a more weight saving kind of thing. And I don't think RC has shit. And,
No, the flat track wheels, believe it or not, the flat track wheels are typically, they like the extra weight on those things because they keep the momentum spinning, right? So they're not even lightweight. And, lightweight wheels, probably close to a decade ago, all the wheel forgings went from a step lip to a smooth lip for aesthetics.
Yeah.
And now you've got all this extra weight on the outside of a wheel where it really matters. And, down as you get closer to the hub, the weight's not nearly as important, but that weight on the outside of the wheel, when you're spinning that way out there, that's a huge difference in performance. And, if you've ever ridden a bike, like I have two ZX6s. I have one with stock wheels and then one with the carbon fiber wheels, and we'll change the wheels back and forth. And just going on a road race track, when you switch from one wheel to the other, it's incredible to get that immediate feeling difference. Because a lot of times, if people switch wheels, they rode a bike one day, you might ride another one another day or something, but you don't feel it. But you hop from one bike to the next, it's just feeling the difference in wheels and how fast a bike will steer back and forth, how fast you can pick it up from one side and turn it to the other. Even just going down a road and changing lanes, I mean, it's incredible the gyroscopic effect, how shaving weight off of wheels works, and especially the outside of the wheel. So what you're talking about with the lighter wheels, it's funny because you almost can't get improvements on wheels if you want to go custom. It's all about look, and performance got left behind 10 years ago. People people don't care unless it's a real road race wheel, and those don't apply to these Harleys. So yeah, that's the kicker, is applying the front ends and the rear ends to these, like that Dyna I'm building. We're using OZ aluminum wheels, which are fairly affordable for a custom wheel, but they're really lightweight, and mostly lightweight where it counts, on the outside of the wheel and the outside of the hoop.
So is OZ making wheels that fit Harleys at all, or how's that working?
No, I'm just making them fit, right?
Yeah.
So the other thing is, you got to look at tires. I mean, all the really good road racy kind of handling, performance, sticky tires are typically going to be a 17 3.5 front and a, probably a 17 5.5 or 17.6 rear. For all the road racy type of bikes. Everything's centered around those wheel sizes. So really, I'm looking to fit kits on the Harleys for those wheel sizes, which aren't the most desirable for the Harley world, because they like bigger wheels because they look cooler. But those are the tire sizes that are available that are really good, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of got to suffer and go back to those sizes to get the lighter wheels and the better tire selection to really make the bike do the kind of things you're going to want it to do.
Yeah, I can definitely tell the difference between like running a 19-inch front wheel and like a 21-inch front wheel. On like the last bagger I built, or I customized it, I actually had my buddy rode it to Daytona, and that one had a 21-inch Lindahl, still lightweight wheels, but that bigger front wheel makes so much of a difference just going to 21 compared to the 19. And then, it's just like on Harleys, the 18-inch rear, the 19-inch front is like the gold standard of like the swaggiest thing you can do. You know what I mean? That shit looks so good going down the road, but it doesn't look like,
The problem is we got to bend that to get to make stuff really work, right? So we got to go back to 17s on both ends. It takes away a little bit of the aesthetic, but I don't know. We'll see where this one that I'm doing here lands. I put a little ugly video out of it recently. I built the arm for the thing, and then I backburnered it for 6 months, and I just pulled it out, started playing with it again. I got to get dug into it and get it going, but I'm hoping that when we're done with this thing, that'll resonate, maybe drive a little bit and catch some interest.
Well, I know for a fact right now in just the industry and like the demand for swing arms, even just the aluminum ones, like I've always been a huge fan of your aluminum swing arm, especially back in the day when y'all put those little braces on them that were kind of like just extra welded on little parts on the bottom. It just gave it a nice look to it, made it different looking than the track and other ones. But like I said, man, I'm not trying to say anything bad about Track Dynamics, but so many people are waiting so fucking long to where it's like, okay, I get it, 4 to 6 weeks for something to be done, but I'm seeing more people waiting 6 months and 8 months for swing arms, and it's just kind of getting ridiculous where the demand's there, to my knowledge, and I feel like your swing arm has a look that's different than Track and Brock's, and I feel like it has a place, man.
The thing about my swing arm, like I did the Dyna swing arms for I've got them for 2017 Dynas currently, and they're unfortunately they're a little pricier than the other guys because they're built differently. I built my whole front section out of one solid chunk of aluminum.
I saw that, yeah.
And I did that for strength and rigidity. We give up a little weight to those other swing arms, but they're going to be indestructible. Where the other arms, I look at the Harleys and I look at how they're mounted and what they're doing, and you start taking these out and putting them in real road conditions and riding them a lot. My opinion is they're going to be failing, and I don't want to build swing arms that'll fail. It's not worth it for me. I don't want to hurt anybody. That's paramount for me. Number one is build a product that's going to land and last and stand the test of time. I don't care about an extra pound or two. The problem I've got is because I'm 3D machining the whole front section from a big, large chunk of billet, the arms, even priced higher than those arms, are more expensive, and they're not profitable for me. It's a real cool branding piece, but I can't make any money on it. I can't, I can't have these machines turn in and build in stuff
that you can't profit on.
To do exercise.
Where do you have them retailed at right now?
Pay the bills. They're $13.95.
Yeah, I don't.
And to be honest, I think it's a loser at that for me.
Yeah, I would say for sure you could probably, with that whole mounting section being a billet piece like that, because I noticed that. I was looking at one of the pictures you had posted. I was like, man, that's a solid piece. That's not like tubular or square tube all welded together like the other one. So Very interesting in my opinion. I think that you could definitely get more for it.
It's a solid, rigid piece, and maybe I underpriced it. If I'd have priced it at $21.95, I could probably make a couple of bucks to make it worthwhile doing, and maybe have a better market for it, because I know people that would be proud to say I have this versus one that's within a couple $100 of the other one, and they would get it. Then they maybe would do the research to understand. I mean, it's funny because people tell me I'm crazy for my single-sided swing arm kits that I sell for $10,000, but there's really a lot of work that goes into it.
Oh, for sure.
And, people don't realize how much work goes into it, and it wouldn't. I couldn't do it for any less. I wouldn't even be interested in doing it for any less. And I look at arms like MJK's got there. I think I spoke with him at one point, and he was scared to put a price on it because he'd scare people. And it's like, man, price it for what it takes to do it and make it work. Don't be scared. It is what it is. At the end of the day, the people that understand are going to respect it, be happy and proud to have that product. And the other ones that don't think it's worth it, let them do something else. They just won't have that level of quality, right? So,
exactly, and that's kind of what me and Dale had talked about quite a bit. And I was like, man, it's kind of the same concept, man. Like a Ferrari, it costs a lot of money, but you can get the Corvette that looks like a Ferrari now for $50,000. Well, or $60,000. So basically, I've always said on his end, just put the shit out there for what you want it to be, and then put it on your website so people can see it and they see the price. You almost can't, especially when you start getting high numbers of followers like you and him have, you can't engage with everybody that asks a simple question on social media, right? Like how much, that's all he put out. You almost don't want to answer that guy, because it's right. You're not gonna. That's not a transaction conversation taking place. If somebody was really interested in the swing arm, they would email you, or they would click on your profile and they would find your phone number and give you a call and have a real conversation. You know what I mean? Same thing for me. It's a lot of people, kind of gawk at my prices for helmet paint jobs, but at the same time, I can only produce so many of those a month, if that, and I am able, because of social media, to find all the people in the country that can afford that price and have that patience for me to do that product. You know what I mean? And so it makes me have a fun time doing my job, and they really enjoy what they get from it. And it's the same thing like you were just saying about the swing arm. It's I think MJK swing arm was $7,000. It's fucking sick. I mean, I don't have that kind of money, but I have a buddy that does, and he has one, and it looks really good on his bike. You know what I mean? So it's a level to get to, and I think that your swing arm is nice, and it's something different that's not available in the bagger or the dyno market that, for $1,500 to $2,000 or whatever the case you were thinking about selling it at. I think it has a place and it'll sell. As long as you make it to where it's worth your time, I think is what's really important. I think they will sell, personally.
Yeah. I guess I need to revisit it. I guess I started down that path and I kind of fizzled out of it because at the end of the day, I don't know. I guess I just didn't want to fight that battle, but I got to get back into it. I got to get back on them.
Do you sell the brake arms that go with them, or is that something y'all sell too, or what?
Yeah. I do radio. I've been making radio mount caliper kits. It's just funny. I should have paid attention to that too. I've been doing radio mount rear brake kits for sport bikes. Probably closer to 15 years, right?
Yeah.
So I've been making the radio mount hangers for those and making the caliper itself for a long time.
I know.
Really, I should have taken that and applied brackets to the front of all these Harley models and the back of all these Harley models a long time ago, because I have the calipers and the know-how and have had for a long time. But I don't like to follow up other people, and I saw that some of the guys had already done that, and I don't want them to think I'm stepping in on their territory or knocking them off. And it's like, I was doing it long before you, but I just didn't apply it there. So I'm not really stepping on toes, but I guess I like to respect other people when they do things, because I've been knocked off and copied on so many products so many times. It really sickens you when you get something going and then somebody walks in under you and takes it, right?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely that end of it, It's but like you said, for your end, I mean, it's funny how you just mentioned that, because I've sold kits of yours that came with the radial rear mount and the hanger, and that's another thing about your swing arms, that if you had the ability to sell that as a kit, like the brake hanger coming with it. It's a more plug and play thing. That's one of the major things about the Harley market that is annoying, is that nothing is ever even close to being able to fit. You know, like you buy a swing arm from anybody and you damn near have to go have all these things machined, you know, like spacers and all this stuff. And it's like they just make the swing arm and then send it out, and then it's up to you to figure all the other stuff out. And I've always loved about your old kits that we used to get for the sport bikes is shit just went together. You didn't have to be a tech to put it on. I mean, you really could do it in your garage with some, you know, I think I'd put the swing arm I bought from you guys and put on my last sport bike that I built. I did it in the driveway at my mom's house. You know what I mean?
I love it. That's
with the front, like
Yeah.
a front stand, they held the front forks up, and then a jack under the transmission.
And that's always been one of my selling points to try to tell to my customers on, whether it be the swing arms and the big tire kits or the big wheel kits. You know, I do some of the big 26, 23, and 26 inch kits for Harleys, and where I was aiming with the, you know, rear end and front end kits to do the conversions on the Dynas and M8 bikes, different things of that nature, is providing a kit that's got every nut, bolt, and spacer to get it done. So when you get it in your shop, and whether this be for a customer at home or for a dealership, when you're providing a kit to a dealership, a customer comes in as a dealer, you know, my service has provided to a lot of dealers over the years. And as a dealer, you don't want to bring in a custom thing, put it on a rack, have it tie up, and now there's a bike stuck on your rack and missing parts. It's really important that you get every nut, bolt, and spacer to get the job done. So when you get it in, you can pound it out, work it through, and keep moving and send it down the road and get to the next one, right? Or for a customer at home, to have all the stuff there that fits and works well together so that they're not tied up in the garage for 2 months. So
yeah. So like I said, there's a place right there like that alone. And I'm not saying that everybody in the Harley scene that makes products are like shitty, but you know, from all the things that I've done, like it'd be nice to have a swing arm that was pretty plug and play. You know, that brake arms that people sold that bolted right up and went there, and it came with the right size bolt to go into the spot. I mean, I bought brake hangers, like you're saying, the radial mount brake hangers for like the front fork and this, and they don't come with fucking bolts to hold the calipers on. And they'll have like,
right. And then
they'll be like some super
on what caliper you get. You need spacers for that, right?
Yeah. So then you would end up having like this, you know, like I did it. So on my FXR, my gold bike, I ended up doing Speed Merchant fronts, caliper hangers for the radial mounts, and then a Kraus rear, because the Brock swing arm didn't come with a caliper mount. They just said to go with the Kraus, right? So I bought the Kraus mount. I don't want this to sound bad about them, but nothing fucking fit and worked right? I had to have spacers made. The Kraus, what do you call the rear hanger? It used some pitch of thread that I could not find at any hardware store in Dallas-Fort Worth, which is a big city. So it was ridiculous that so I had to order shit through some like bolt company online to get shit to fit this bike. You know what I mean? And it's just like those kind of things, like that thing should have came with a spacer assortment, and if it's a universal caliper thing, and the correct bolts for it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Like my kits and packages always have, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kicker. But it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the incentive, man. I need to get back into get back down that road and apply my swing arm knowledge and product base back into the American stuff like I intended to originally, and kind of just lost focus, right?
And your experience on the track, man, like that stuff was I wholeheartedly feel like that would show so much in your products, especially if you tapped into some of the Harley markets. And you know, I understand the not wanting to step on people's toes thing, but fuck, man, like nobody else is doing that stuff in your part of the country. So
one of the things, and I haven't paid attention to it since MJK came out with his swing arm, but looking at the baggers, I've had a lot of people call me asking for bagger arms, and I never made any in aluminum because I look at a bagger as it's a big, heavy motorcycle. Mm-hmm. That, you know, in my opinion, the intention of that bike is you should put 1 billion miles on it. You should ride that thing everywhere and really, really, you know, pound out the miles, which pounds on things. When you have a big, heavy bike like that beating on an aluminum swing arm, to me, on a bagger, the way the other arms I'm seeing are built I don't see how they're going to hold up to it too well. So I think my arm, making it out of billet the way the front section out of billet, possibly maybe the whole thing out of two halves of billet, but not quite as complex as MJK's, have something in the middle.
Yeah.
There may be a market there for that.
Oh, for sure there will be. For sure there is.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, like you just got to put a price point out there and make sure that it's profitable for you, and you know.
Yep.
And just it is what it is.
That'd be a good value. Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I think that even if you could like find a way to improve on the current thing you have, maybe if some other bracing system that might help it be more stout, I mean that alone would be nice, you know. So.
Yep.
But yeah, that's cool. But man, so
well, I tell you, I need one of your helmets. So we talked about it. I think I saw you doing helmets maybe a year ago in Japan. I need one of your helmets, so I'm glad I didn't do one yet, because this year I've crashed. I've destroyed 4 helmets so far. So I want to have one of your badass helmets to race in, but I don't want to bounce one off the ground. And I've made a habit of that. This last year I destroyed 4 Rye helmets. So I don't want to put those on the ground. But I got to get one of those one of these days. I'm going to send you a helmet so we can kind of give me a signature race helmet.
That'd be cool. Yeah, there's definitely You know, when it comes to the helmet thing, it's like you know, we've been trying to build like a I guess a I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but basically we've been trying to build like a culture around the helmet stuff to where like people that are buying them or getting them done, like they mean a lot to them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It kind of sounds, I don't know, weird, but like there's like, you know, when someone builds a bike, you know, like that, a lot of people love that experience of having their bike built by somebody, having their ideas come down. They find a builder. That builder's like someone they like, and they're excited to get their art, but what they want. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of the same process absolutely. When it comes to a helmet. Is like, you know, we're kind of taking the customer's ideas and we're trying to like do one of our signature ways of we do our stuff, but with their kind of content, and it becomes something that people, so far, like all the helmets we've really put out, that people just, you know, they're like, they're not getting rid of them. They're sitting on the mantle or some shit, or when they do ride with them, you know what I mean? Like it's just a different vibe, and I think it's really cool, and it makes.
I get it as much as or more than anyone. I collect the Rye race replica helmets. I have over 50 Rye Corsair helmets. They're all about $1,000 a piece, right? And I am fascinated by those things. And I'm a big believer in helmets too. So I love what you're doing, because so many guys ride without a helmet, man. And like having a badass personalized helmet will influence people to actually put the lid on and be proud to wear it, rather than kind of ashamed to wear it or not wear it. So I think what you're doing is awesome, and I understand the mindset, and I think it's cool to push that on everybody. Like, hey, get a badass personalized helmet.
Yeah.
You know, I've told people for as long as I've been in this business, $10 helmets for a $10 head. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
You're worth it. So, you know, there's a great place to invest that money and have something personalized, have a quality helmet that fits proper and looks badass. You can't beat that.
Yeah. And I really attribute, like, for the Harley scene, the rise in people wanting to wear helmets is, you know, like the Unknown dudes that do all the stunts on the West Coast. Like when those guys came out, you know, and this, I don't know if this is post or pre Sons of Anarchy, like this whole younger people seemed like they were jumping on these Harleys. And then in Cali, of course, it's all helmet law. So helmets like became like culturalized out there in this scene of performance motorcycles. And then, you know, it never dawned on me. I just started painting the helmet for a buddy, and then it, you know, kind of like blossomed from there. But realistically, like we might be doing a part now to kind of like get guys from the big wheel scene or the soft tail scene that are kind of like seeing the helmets and going, fuck, that's cool, I want one, I'll ride with the helmet now. But man, those dudes back in the day or a couple of years ago were really the ones I felt like that inspired me to start wearing a helmet. You know what I mean? Because when we were on sport bikes, I fucking Shoeies and Arise and all these helmets all the time. You know, it was just part of the culture of that motorcycle. But then you get on the big wheel or just the Harley in general, and it felt out of place to have a helmet on, and now it's back to feeling like it belongs again.
Everybody always made fun of me because, you know, the phase when we started doing the big wheel baggers too, when I was riding and doing all the different shows, I don't go anywhere without putting my Rye on. I just, you know, I've crashed in them 100 times, and I still have some brains left, actually, and I attribute it to the, you know, good quality helmet and what the Japanese have done to make those safe helmets. So every time I get on the bagger, I have my goofy sport bike road racer Rye helmet on, and people pointed and laughed and made fun of me. And I try to, like you're doing, try to make it cool. Obviously, that's never going to go over that well, but what you're doing is. So I really appreciate what you're doing with the helmets, giving it some style and making it desirable, man.
Thank you.
We need to keep our customers alive.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
That's good.
Especially when they're already dwindling down, based on, interest. So,
exactly right, man. Exactly right.
yeah, we have, we're actually, the helmet I'm doing next, I just finished one yesterday, but I have another one to do for a buddy that's going to Sturgis, and it's going to be kind of like some type of tribute to Nicky Hayden. So we're gonna have like the 69 on there, and I took a couple of his Arai helmets that he had already that were his helmets, and I just kind of like did my style with some of the aspects of his old helmets. You know what I mean? And
well, I look forward to seeing that. That's gonna be really cool.
So the thing I'm really nervous about is like the image that we're gonna put on the top of the helmet is like it's one of his old dirt track or flat track pictures. It's a real famous picture of him like kind of taking a corner pretty hard, and it's a really badass black and white photo. And the customer actually found the original photographer that took that, and he had a digital file in high quality. So it'll be the first time I've ever done something really other than a face on there. So I'm looking forward to this like new challenge to try to pull it off.
That's cool.
So if you don't see it on the top, if you don't see it on top, then I fucked up and we had to scratch that. But I'm shooting for it.
There you go. Hey, it's always fun to challenge yourself, man. You keep yourself inspired that way. So that's cool. I look forward to seeing it.
So what's some things that you guys might be doing this year? Are you still just kind of chasing the circuit around still, or are you planning on going to any events? Or
you know what? I've been so busy with the road racing and the traveling and the gearing and getting the bikes ready for that I haven't had time to do any of the kind of bike events and bike shows. I just got back from Laguna Seca. In 2 weeks, we're in Sonoma. 2 weeks after that, Pittsburgh. 2 weeks after that, Jersey. 2 weeks after that, Alabama for Barber. And, trying to fly back and forth and have the gear prep for the next one is so hard. So it's,
it's
outside
tough.
of that, it's really this year's it's eating up so much of my time. But I'm having a ball, so
that's good.
Yeah, I gotta learn to balance that a little bit. But I kind of went crazy with the racing this last couple seasons.
Hey, when you're doing this stuff for a long time, man, like when you get interested in something like this new reignite of this racing passion that you have, you got to chase it, man. Otherwise, you'll burn yourself out working on these bikes and dealing with all the ups and downs with customers and the scene and the trends and shit like that. So, got to stay on it.
You got it. It's a fact. It's definitely put some fire in me. The sad part is I know I'm too old, too big, and I probably shouldn't be doing this. But I also look at it and say, listen, man, I'm at an age where I'm still fairly competitive. I'm pretty decent for an old big guy, and soon I won't have this ability. I can see the skill set already tailoring off. I can see when I'm breaking into a corner with these kids. Not consciously, but subconsciously. When you go cramming into one with 30 bikes, when I was a little younger, I would make a hole. Now, there might be a hole there in my body, shut the throttle off, where when I was younger, I would have already filled it. And it's not a conscious thing. Consciously, I know what lap times I can do and how fast I can go. Typically, I look at my lap times, I'm faster than the guys that finish in front of me, but I don't take
the risk.
I don't. Yeah, when the doors open, sometimes I don't feel it. There's some, in racing, sometimes there's just a little hole, and you don't have time to think about it. It's this natural reaction. You're there or you're not. You don't.
Yeah.
And it's on a subconscious, not a conscious level. It's with all athletes. I think you look at boxers, racers, different things. You get to a point where your body has that safety feature that turns that throttle off when you might want to do it. It's not up to you. It's subconscious. It shuts down, and I already see that happen. So I got to go get what I can out of it before it's over, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like, you're telling me this stuff right now, and I'm thinking about the last Cars movie that came out, the kids one, where he pretty much had to teach the young guy how to start doing what he always did and stuff, and that way he found a new passion for sharing all that knowledge and stuff. And I think that's what you're currently doing with your racer, right? And the bike that...
There you go. I just put a guy on the bike this last time out, and he went and won it on my clone bike. So, yeah, it shows you that. Exactly right.
Yeah, and that's cool. I mean, it's finding ways to kind of like just stay involved, and not be some creepy old guy in the back corner, like telling old war stories about when you used to race. You know what I mean? You can kind of live through this new younger person or whatever the case may be. But yeah, it's weird, man, because I kind of talked about it on a recent podcast, but I'm just now starting to feel old. You know what I mean? Like I'm 37. I'll be 37 in like 2 months, and I'm looking at guys that are 20 and 25 and how they party and how they do all this bike life stuff that they're doing, and I'm not hating on them. I think it's awesome, but I'm like, I don't have that kind of energy.
Can't keep up with that.
I can't do that. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yes, I sure do.
Yeah,
I'm right with you.
So that part right there is kind of catching up with me, and the other kind of thing that I look at is like when I first got into this industry, like a lot of the people that have been producing some of the industry's badass stuff over the last 20 years were relatively around my age now, right? So it's almost like I spent the last 15 years kind of building up these skills and these ideas and these visions, and now it's like you kind of get the clientele and the opportunities to start kind of applying it at this age. So I feel like the next 20 years of my career should be, I hope it'll be interesting, and I can create some cool, artwork, make some cool bikes, customize some bikes in a cool way, and, just kind of stay relevant in the industry, is always kind of, I guess, the idea.
Well, looking at the way your talent has progressed and things like you're doing a podcast and marketing yourself well, I look forward to seeing what you do moving forward. I'm sure it'll continue to impress, and you'll continue to grow like you have.
Thank you, man. Yeah. So other than that, man, anything cool you want to plug or put out there? We can wrap this thing up.
No, I appreciate you guys putting us on, man. I know you've been a customer for a long time, and I appreciate what you're doing. I listen to the podcast. I watch the stuff you're putting out. And I like that you get around and you associate with everybody and you show love to everybody, and you're a true motorcycle guy that appreciates what's going on, and you get out there and do it, man. Keep up the great work, man. We're watching you, following you, and if I can support you guys in any way, please let me know.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, it's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to taking this podcast now is to start kind of branching off into the other motorcycling things that I've been a part of, and whether it is the sport bike stuff or the big wheel shit. I just want to bring cool people on, man, that do badass stuff. And, you guys were always one of them, but I kind of kept putting you guys on the back burner because I kept feeling like I was going to be in your area. Right. Like, cause I have a good friend that has a shop right up there in like, just north of Tampa, and we hang out a lot. Yep. And I'm like, fuck, man, eventually I'm going to be at his house, and then I can just drive down and we can sit down and do this. But that's kind of what I'm realizing is that I'm I don't know if I'm be able to get there this year. So it's like, I don't want to put another year on it, another year. So I figured, fuck it, man, let's just do this over the phone, and I'll be there eventually and we'll do it again.
Cool. So, hopefully we'll do some cool stuff that'll bait you to get over here and come check it out sooner than later.
Yeah, I think, man, like I was talking to a buddy, I think next year for Daytona, in order to make it worth my while if Daytona sucks, I think I'm just going to ride down the west side and go see the Keys and shit, because I've never ridden that before, and then ride up to Daytona and then come home. So at that point in time, I'll definitely probably be riding through Sarasota again and stop by and hang out.
Well, if you're doing Daytona when they got, once a year they'll do a track day over there. If you're doing Daytona while they got a track day, I've always got extra bikes. Maybe you come ride around and experience the banking, man. That's something I think everybody should check on their bucket list.
Okay, hell yeah.
Talking about possibly doing some track days. Think about that. Stay in touch. Maybe we could send a bike out there to go check out the banking. That'd be awesome. Nice.
Yeah, here in Texas they have. I did a podcast with a recent guy, Wes. He had his feet were amputated from a skydiving accident. And the dude's doing track days on his bagger, and he doesn't have feet. And he was telling me how awesome it was, and now it's all I fucking want to do, right? So we have here in Texas we have a Ride Smart, which is apparently a pretty big company for putting on track days and a lot of education in the classroom and on the track. And I'm kind of nervous about being on the track, but I'm really, really stoked about sitting in a classroom for some weird reason. I guess that's the old guy in me now.
No, listen, nothing to be scared of. Let me tell you, your first day, and I've told this, for my 25 years of racing, and I've taught schools and done stuff, but your very first day on a racetrack, this is my opinion, you leave there 100% better rider than you went. And you're practicing the same thing in a controlled environment, the same corners over and over and over, and you really learn how hard your bike can stop and how much your bike can turn. And you also, more importantly, you learn how to react in a panic situation. Because every time you're coming down into a turn, you think you're too fast. No, shit. You scare yourself, and then you turn in. Oh, I made it. Oh, I could have went quicker. Oh, okay. And then you do that again and again. But you train yourself to react in a panic situation over and over and over and over to where it becomes natural and you don't panic anymore. Then it transfers over to your riding entirely. You're out on the street and the car pulls up in front of you. You already know what your bike can do, how well it can stop, how well it can turn. You react. Normally, you don't panic. Your heart rate doesn't rise. You're around it.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've been riding on the street, car pulls out in front of me, and boom, 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 I'm around it. I don't even think about it. My heartbeat doesn't raise. We get to wherever we're going. Guys come up, oh my God, you almost died. Oh my God. And I can't even barely remember what happened because it's just, it's natural for me. And you learn how to handle those situations. I think riding on a racetrack, I feel everybody that rides a motorcycle should do it. Not everybody should race, but everybody should go do at least 1 or 2 track days and learn some of those skill sets and how to deal with panic situations because it makes you a better rider. It's incredible how much it makes you a better rider. It's, until you experience it, you can't even fathom it. So go do it and have a ball, and don't be scared. I mean, you're in a controlled environment. You're not don't go there as a competition with anybody but yourself to learn.
Yeah, and that's basically the mindset I want to take in it. And I think one of the deciding factors of really want to get on a track is after putting a lot of money into the bike that I'm currently riding around to make it handle better and stuff like that, it's like I have top of the line suspension in there, and I'm realizing that my bike can do a lot more than I can do now. So it's like I need to start investing. I feel like I need to invest in myself and my abilities and my knowledge, or being able to handle cornering. And plus here in Texas, which is the same for you guys.
I like Florida, yeah, no riding.
Yeah, we don't really get level changes so one of the things that freaked me out the most is like downhill cornering, because I'm not used to the weight transfer of the bike being on the front of the bike and into, you know what I mean? It really changes everything for me. And so those kind of things I want to have the experience in so that when I'm somewhere that has that kind of thing, I can still ride to a pretty good ability there, So lots of reasons. Yeah. But, and then again, the other side of it is like, I know a lot of other guys that ride Harleys would like to do that shit too. It's just that, in that world, the Harley is kind of like the outcast, when when a lot of the things that happen here in Dallas, if you're on a sport bike and you go to some of the known Harley spots, like you're the guy that doesn't feel like you're in the right spot, and it's kind of like one of those weird, kind of a stupid thing to think about, but it is kind of like that, where you don't feel like this is your, scene.
Flip side of that is most of the guys at the racetrack are, the racing community is really helpful and really inspiring. And, these are guys that, kind of like club guys that are going to reach out and help you and give you some advice. There's always going to be some guys over there that are going to snicker and point fun at you to take a Harley to the racetrack because it's kind of silly. Yeah. But, I would tell you probably 75% of the paddock is going to be there to help you, support you, give you advice, teach you something, lend a hand. I mean, it's a really cool group of guys. I mean, half of the passion of racing comes from the group of people that you got out there. You're looking at, like all motorcyclists, the guys that are risk takers, A-type personalities. Usually the racetrack has a whole bunch of guys there that are semi-successful in whatever it is they do, because A, it takes a little bit of money, and B, it takes a little bit of guts, and they're the type of guys that aren't scared to get out and try and make something happen, and they're not scared if they fail, they're going to do it again. And it teaches you so much in that respect too. So yeah, get out there and meet people. You'll have a ball, man.
Cool, man. I definitely will. I think I was planning on doing it probably in August sometime. That way it's still fresh on the mind and fresh on the want list. So
if I can help in any way, or any advice, or if there's something I can lend to, please let me know as well.
I appreciate it, man. Well, cool. Like I said, we'll wrap this up. So tell everybody your social media, your website, things like that, man.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Jace. Yeah, check it out at our website, www.roaringtoyz.com. You can look at some of our products at buynowroaringtoyz.com. It's Toys with a Z. On Facebook and Instagram, Roaring Toyz. And, yeah, come check us out. And keep an eye on. We're going to get back into this suspension and swing arm thing on the standard side as well.
Cool, man. I'm gonna stay on you for that, too.
I appreciate it, man.
Right,
Thanks for the influence. Thanks for reaching out. And keep kicking ass, man. I look forward to seeing the next helmets.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you later, okay?
See ya. Bye.
Hope you guys enjoyed that. Really thankful for Rob taking the time out to talk to us and give us some insight on his world, if you will. I also want to thank everybody for checking out this podcast and everybody for, being cool bikers. Anyway, check out teamdreamrides.com as well as Dreamrides John on Instagram. Save yourself 10% off by using Fast Life at checkout. If you're in the Stockton area, you can always stop by and say hi, see what kind of stuff they have in stock and what they can do for your bike. I also want to thank Kevin at Big Bear Choppers on Instagram as well as bigbearperformance.com. And you can always call Kevin at 909-478-7788. I bet you guys, if you listen to this podcast a lot, soon you're going to have his phone number remembered by heart like I do. Anyway, he's the guy to go to for suspension. He's the guy you want to have in your corner to help you get it all dialed for you and help you understand all the dynamics that comes with having a very high-tech suspension setup like Olin's suspension. So check him out. I also want to thank Paint Huffer Metal Flake on Instagram and painthuffer.com. And don't forget Fast Life at checkout, 15% off. Gonna help you do a lot of shit with that money there. So check them out. Lindahl Brakes on Instagram and lindahlbrakes.com for all your wheels, rotors, pads, and sprockets for your badass bike. 10% off with Fast Life at checkout, lindahlbrakes.com. I also want to thank Lexan Moto on Instagram and lexanmotorcycle.com and Fast Life at checkout for 15% off all their products. And, they got some nice shit, man. Trust me, I use it all the time. So thank you guys, and don't forget to check us out at fastlifegarage.com and check out our Patreon, the lifeblood to this podcast, and check out our Instagram. That's where we're posting everything now. We do have the Fast Life podcast, but we're converting everything over to the Fast Life Garage just to help focus the content towards our greater audience. And we're just thank you guys for checking us out. We'll catch you back again soon. You guys have an awesome week or weekend or whatever day it is for you. Peace.